All right, morning skate episode 219, hot start for me. You got Ked, your host here. Hal is out. Brownie is back. That is BizDev Brownie. He is going to be co-hosting. I appreciate that. How's it going? Oh, also, before we get into this, I am aware that I sounded like shit last week. I had my mic plugged in, but I forgot to turn the mic on. I got that fixed, and I also got Hal and Brownie mics too, so this should sound a little bit better. But Brownie, how's it going, buddy?
So I won't hopefully sound like first time, long time. Thanks for having me. You know,
just a little bit, but I don't know. It spruces it up a little bit, so I think that'll be good. But how's everything going with you, man?
Good. Another week in the books, closer to the opening night. I think the entire world wants to watch your Rangers on opening night.
I don't know what I'm going to do about it. I got ESPN Plus, but I don't have TNT. Like I don't have cable.
Well, ESPN Plus, I thought was every single out-of-market game.
That's what it says, but they didn't. They only aired like 3 preseason games.
Yeah,
like, they only aired select.
We couldn't here in Boston. You couldn't find the Bruins barely either.
So you think I don't really have anything to worry about?
I don't. I think because you're in Nashville, out of state, it's an out of market game for you. And there's a bar every 10 feet in Nashville.
Yeah, but okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. I can't watch
a Rangers bar.
I can't watch a hockey game at a bar.
Oh, it's annoying as hell.
I can't do it. I like listening to like what's going on, and like I fucking can't stand it. I have a lot of friends back home who are Rangers fans that are always like, "Why don't we go to the bar and watch the game?" I'm like, "No, like I can't do that."
But if it came down to watch it in a bar or not watch it,
yeah. I mean,
you gotta go to the bar.
And that's another thing. I don't think you can just like fucking search stream TNT on like. I feel like you can find a Rangers game off of MSG, but I don't think you're gonna get TNT streamed.
I don't know if we should be talking about streams on a podcast.
Fair enough. But yeah, so Brownie's still in. We have a lot to talk about. We have the Olympic update. We have some Robin Lehner.
A lot of Robin
Lehner. Some new contracts. New lack of a contract. An Amazon Prime show that everybody should definitely tune into. And then we have some pretty good Rangers Bruins, beer league stuff, typical Dominic Moores, and then a pretty fun 3-star. So let's just get into it. NHL in the news. All right. So the first thing on the docket, we're going to talk a little bit of Olympics. I read somewhere, I think they call them the leadership group of the teams, but Canada and Sweden has come out with 3 players that are going to be on the Olympic team. Crosby, Pietrangelo, Connor McDavid. Sweden's going to be Hedman, Zibanejad, which I thought was cool, and Gabriel Landeskog. I read somewhere that each team has to submit 3 players for like random drug testing throughout the year. I don't know if that's accurate. You never really know what's going on with the internet, but essentially people are kind of assuming this is like a leadership type group for whatever teams are going on. Brownie, what do you think? I mean, Canada, I cannot believe that they have Crosby and McDavid. They're going to be so good.
Well, Crosby's injured, remember? So hopefully it's not lingering and he's back to himself. I think I get it that they wanted a defenseman, but I mean, how is Bergeron not one of the 3?
Oh, I didn't even have my masshole hat on. I mean, he definitely is like a leadership type player, but
yeah.
The reason why he's not top 3 is because I feel like they had to include a defenseman. That would be like kind of my only thing.
It makes sense, especially with Hedman on there for Sweden. But it's a deep team, both U.S. and Canada. It's crazy, and you start thinking about guys that won't make the cut, and there's going to be. You could have like an A team and a B team for both countries.
Every time there's like an Olympic, I love the fact that people do 2 teams for Canada, and it's always fun to look at the B team and be like, wow, they're still really good. For Sweden, Hedman, obviously, Landeskog, I mean, leader, great hair. Zibanejad, I found this like a little shocking. I know that he's put up some numbers in New York, and like he scores a ton of goals, and like when he's on, he's really good. But this might have been my first like pinch me moment that like Zibanejad's actually getting recognized for being like a pretty good hockey player.
And I don't know the answer. I should have known. I should have looked this up before I asked. Who's the GM of Sweden? Do you know? Leadership?
I don't know.
I wonder if it's got any New York ties.
I don't know. Because I feel like, especially in Sweden, there's so many people that you could pick. I was pleasantly surprised that Zibanejad was one of the names.
Don't they talk about him as like the mayor of Sweden? Isn't he like super popular?
You might be thinking of the other Ranger, former Swede Henrik Lundqvist. I bet he's probably the
No,
most
no,
popular
no.
one.
I know
But
Lundqvist.
I don't know. He might be. I know
But I
he
thought
like married
Zibanejad
like
had
a
all kinds of pull. Like he was the man over there.
yeah. He married like a Swedish soccer player. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
Like over
maybe.
the off season, who like does TV and stuff. I don't know. I thought it was cool, and like obviously I've known Zibanejad's been a really good player for a long time. But I feel like when you think of top centers in the game, like he's never really brought up. So the fact that like the Rangers can say they had like, I don't know, I thought that was cool. Wasn't expecting it. Pleasant surprise.
Still not captain of the Rangers, but yeah,
no,
sure.
no, yeah, you'd think. So the U.S. hasn't released their team yet. I put something out on Instagram talking about who you would put in for myself.
We're gonna vary greatly, I think.
Yeah, no, I know. For myself, you kind of have to pick people we're gonna like. Patrick Kane is easily going to be one of them, like without a doubt, in my mind.
Okay.
And then you can't not have Austin Matthews because they're marketing him as the face of hockey. I get where you're going to say about him laughing behind the net and stuff. I'm not happy about it, but that's what it'll be. And then your third player. So everybody's picking a defenseman. I know Adam Fox has been thrown around. Leadership wise, I would probably put McAvoy over Fox just because Fox turtled, and I'm serious about that. I hate that. But I think I would go with Matthew Tkachuk. I think you would have a little bit of grit and grime to your game. And like, do you remember when David Backes went around? He was fighting everybody on
It's
Canada
over America tour.
Yeah. Like I really hope both Tkachuk players make it and they put them on a line together, and their role is just to piss people off.
Could Brady go if he doesn't sign? Yeah, he could, right? It doesn't have to be NHLers.
Now, I don't know if either Tkachuk brother are going to make it. I'm sure Matthew will. I don't know if Brady will, but like, could you imagine you're the coach of USA and you have two Tkachuks and you're putting them on the same line? You're like, just go piss people off. How much fun it would be. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd go Matthew Tkachuk. I know he gets a lot of hate because people think he's like kind of a rat, and I don't really care. He could be America's rat for all. Like, let's meddle. Brownie, who do you got?
Does he go to Disney as America's rat? The rat goes to see the mouse?
I don't know, man. I tell you what, people hate Matthew Tkachuk, but fuck, man. I'd give anything for him to be on the Rangers.
Oh, hell yeah. For the Bruins, sure. Same thing. So the obvious choice is Kane, Matthews, and you can make the argument for Fox as the Calder. I mean, the Norris, sorry.
Yeah.
So you can make that argument, but it depends on what they want as a team, in my opinion. So if you want skill, I don't want to say soft, but I mean soft.
No, I know what you're saying.
Right? If they said you're in charge, give me your three. Ready?
Yeah.
Matthew Tkachuk, Blake Wheeler, Seth Jones.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good leadership core too, man. I'm surprised you said Blake Wheeler because he was supposed to be a Bruin, right? And just
he was a Bruin. He was a Bruin for a long time.
Yeah, I
5 years.
I love the way he plays north south, hard on the puck. Like he's a very underrated player too. If you think about it, Blake Wheeler's unreal.
No one sees him.
No, and it sucks. He's a really good player. He has all the intangibles. Plus, he's tough.
He's got if he plays long enough, he'll be looked at like a Joe Thornton. If he plays.
You said Seth Jones, dude. That one kind of came out of nowhere for me. Is there a reason why you picked him?
I just think he's filthy. He's absolutely filthy. He can play. He can eat minutes. He's a big body. They're going to be crashing. That's the knock on Fox, McAvoy. McAvoy's a little bigger, but all these guys. I mean, yeah, I could be wear the Bruins hat and say McAvoy, but Seth Jones, I think, is all world. I think he's filthy.
And I kind of think like back in the day, Canada, USA teams, like it was always very clear Canada, and like Canada's going to be a wagon too, man. Like, they didn't even say McKinnon. Like they're going to be so good. But in terms of how good Canada is compared to USA, I feel like USA's definitely closed the gap. Do you think so?
Oh, for sure. 100%. Yeah. 100%.
Which is nice to see.
You and I were talking offline a week or so ago, and I was saying how I lean on my Canadian heritage to pull for whichever team I like better. It was all because of Kessler. I fucking hated Ryan Kessler.
I love them.
That I could not root for the United States when he was playing. I didn't want to see that guy succeed in anything.
What now? Do you think is that just you being a Bruins guy?
No. He was a scumbag from college. I knew a guy who went to college with him.
Okay.
Yeah, just garbage human.
I don't know. I love the way he played the game, though. He'd get in your face and he'd piss you off.
Yeah.
There's not too many Americans that really do that anymore. It sucks, but
Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah, about it.
Did you have any other? Did you have any other countries that you looked at?
Not really, man. Like, obviously Russia, they're going to be really good. I'm interested to see if Panarin gets the nod because of
You think he'd be one of the leadership?
No, not leadership, even on the team.
Well, he's got that whole thing with Putin. I don't know.
Yeah, so he's like super against Putin. There was that thing last year. It was kind of like a hit article out on him. Right. He had to go home and shit. So, I mean, it'll be clear if that's like kind of 100% true. Because if he doesn't get invited to the Russia team, he's all world.
It could be political, right? Yeah.
Speaking of the Russian thing, has there been a player who's dropped off more than Kuznetsov? Like, I feel like he was nasty, and now he doesn't really get talked about. He wasn't there. There's a chance he wasn't going to go back to Capitals. There were some like issues with him off the ice. Like, still a good player, but
is he like 12 years in, 14 years in, something like that?
Is he that old? I haven't looked.
I think so. Are you looking right now?
Yeah, I'll look right now. I thought he was a younger kid. I'm going to say 27. 29. Yeah, he's 29 years old.
Yeah, so 10 years, probably 8 years in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Kirill the Thrill, hopefully he makes it. That'd be kind of fun to watch him. Zook's going to be with Norway. If Norway has a team, I honestly haven't dove too much into it. But
Krejci and Pasternak playing for Czech.
That'll be kind of fun to see.
You know?
Yeah.
Voracek, maybe.
Does Capo Caco make the Finnish team?
I would think, right?
I don't know.
It's 12 forwards plus 2.
I think I like searched NHL top players or whatever by country or whatever, and like he wasn't anywhere near top 12 in points. So like,
really,
yeah.
Well, by points, not You got to have every role. I mean, they had Bergeron riding wing with Crosby, you know, and he's taking defensive faceoffs, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something definitely interesting to see, but I'm pumped for the Olympics.
Yeah.
Next story, Robin Lehner. Robin Lehner went off. He went on Spin Chicklets last week, I think, and he kind of dove into the Buffalo Jack Eichel situation, how he doesn't like it. He talked about his ankle. Then he tweeted out pictures of his ankle, all leading up to is it common for workplaces to give out benzodiazepines to employees when they travel in Ambien? Philadelphia Flyers dinosaur coach treating people like robots, not human. That was a shout out to Elaine Vigneault. Then he came back and clarified he was never accusing him about distributing the pills. He claims that was about the way the coach treated the players, which he thinks is unacceptable. You have Tom Cicito and all these former players, Weiss, coming out and saying, hey, good for Robin Lehner. Gary Bettman was asked about it. He said we take his comments seriously and we'd like, in short order, to begin a conversation with him so we can hear his concerns directly. We're going to follow up to see what merit there may be to his concerns. You don't have to tweet to get our attention. We have an 800 number. People can call. You can call us directly. We're an open book. And then today, this came out. Kaplan talked to Robin Lehner. He's confident he can push change in the NHL. They're listening. He's moving his messaging behind the scenes, working with the NHL and NHLPA. He asks for patience from the media as it begins the season and tries to take meaningful steps forward. So there's a lot to unpack here with the Robin Lehner situation. Brownie, take it away. What do you got on this?
Well, I listened to that interview with Robin Lehner, and he said that he's got a filter on 90% of what he has to say.
Yeah.
So holy shit, that was 10%.
Yeah.
He's just literally out of fucks to give. He's the clear-cut number one, signed a good deal. So he's like, well, I've been playing 12 years. You're
not going to have as much security as he has now.
Yeah, exactly. And he might never have it again. My big fear with this is that I hope it doesn't get glossed over and attributed to his battles with mental health.
Yeah.
Because he's admittedly, bipolar disorder. He's medicated. He does his deal. He's all good. But I know a lot of people in sensitive times that we live in are going to be like, he's crazy and just dismiss it.
Yeah.
Tough look for the NHL as you're getting ramped up. They've had a little bit of a tough go with Evander Kane, the Chicago Blackhawks, now this, and Bettman saying, oh, call the 800 number, like basically like zip it, buddy. In the, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, what do they tell you? All right. So when I coached sports, I coached lacrosse, but my two things, try your best, be a good teammate, right? Those are the two tenets of coaching. And Robin Lehner is in his mind being a good teammate. He's boys with Jack Eichel. And the Jack Eichel thing is a gong show.
Yeah.
Right. And he was very adamant that Eichel wants to get the surgery and they're not letting him. And then if you add in the fact that Nolan Patrick was in Philly last year and is in Vegas now, and obviously they're boys, because I did like the dive on Hockey DB. Alain Vigneault and Robin Lehner have never crossed paths in the same organization. So
yeah, because when I first heard that, I was wondering if that. Do you remember on Spin Chickens he talked about going to a tryout or something like that? And there was a coach that he hated, and I was wondering. I was like looking up teams that AV was coaching. I'm like, I didn't ever hear about Leonard going on a PTO in New York or anything, or Vancouver. So I was wondering if that's what he was talking about. But
I looked, I didn't see anything, but it wouldn't show up a PTO though. I don't think.
I think I would remember if the Rangers brought him in for a PTO, because like Leonard's dad was Henrik Lundqvist, goalie coach. Like there would have been a story about that.
Right. But I mean, he's being, like I said, he's being a good teammate. He's speaking up for someone who can't. Like Eichel really can't say anything. Nolan Patrick does not have the same gravitas that Robin Lehner has at this point in his career. So he's probably he probably has buddies on the Flyers now, and he's like, these guys can't say anything, so I'm gonna. And maybe Vigneault is the first guy. It's an easy one to go after. He was the Rangers coach. I mean, what do you think of him as a coach?
I was so happy when he left New York.
Everybody is.
Yeah, and like the way I don't know, the way he treated some of the players, I guess it was a little weird. It wasn't anything like what I thought Leonard was saying, or like the Babcock shit in like Toronto and stuff like that. But it takes balls to do what Leonard just did, to have that much money.
The last of those dinosaur-style coaches left in the NHL?
Yeah, pretty much. But like, I don't know. It just takes balls to do that. And he could call the 1-800 number, but you want to know what? There's a good chance nothing did get done. So at the very least,
maybe he did call it.
But we wouldn't know. Now we know. Now we know. Now the NHL has to do something, and it would be kind of cool if I don't know what the substance abuse program or anything like that is going on, but if Robin Lehner becomes like that dude and it like helps run that program, or like does different things to help guys get help, like talk about Evander Kane and like the issues that he had going on throughout his life, whatever. I'm assuming maybe that started at a younger age. Maybe there were other things that fucking went into that, where maybe he could have went and fucking talked to somebody. Like you never know, dude. Like you truly never know. You don't. I mean, we're not in the NHL, so we don't know what is offered and what isn't. But Robin Lehner's making it abundantly clear that it's not enough.
Yeah, and the talking about the drugs, like the Toradol, the benzos. I mean, every interview you hear, they talk about Ambien. With former players. So I mean, it sounds like it was readily available.
Yeah.
I mean, who am I to say? Again, like you said, we're not in the locker room, but I don't see him making this up.
No, not at all. And at the very least, he made everybody aware about it. And I think that's a big step in making something that's broken fixed a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
So shout out to Leonard. I thought that was cool. We're going to do 2 new contract updates. Elias Pettersson, 3 years, $7.35 million. Quinn Hughes, 6 years, $7.75 million. The Vancouver Canucks locked up their pretty good forward and pretty good defenseman. If I'm a Canucks fan, I'm definitely pumped about the Quinn Hughes deal. 6 years, $7 million. You see the deals that Cale Makar and Adam Fox are going to end up getting, all these types of things.
McAvoy next year.
McAvoy, he'll get the money from New York. The Pettersson deal, to me, that's the one that, like, I mean, I guess it's cool you got him for 3 years, but fuck, if I was a Vancouver fan, I'd want him for like 20.
From what I read, he didn't want it. He wanted 3, and that was it.
I know, but as a Canucks fan, like I'd be like,
for sure. Well, I'm just glad they didn't burn the city after it was only 3 years. The thing that's funny though is what I was reading is that so the guy's name is Patrick Johnston. He is agent that represented Tyler Myers and Louis Eriksson, and Myers and Eriksson both bent the GM there Benning over on their contracts.
Yeah.
So Pettersson and Hughes both signed with this guy to negotiate. So he was controlling the 2 of them and talking to Benning. Benning must be like, Jesus Christ, just lose my number.
Yeah, Benning woke up and he's like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, 100%. And the Pettersson will be 25 and Hughes 28 when their contracts expire. So they have another big ticket, both of them.
A big ticket.
Yeah, oh yeah. And this was, I thought, kind of interesting. There's no trade protection for either of them. I mean, Pettersson's 3 years. I doubt they're going to trade him with that term. But if something happens and the wheels fall off in Vancouver, Quinn Hughes is a very tradable piece. Even at that number.
Yeah,
I just thought that was interesting.
Vancouver confuses me, man, because I feel like they have so many good pieces there, but they're just never like Pettersson is disgusting. Hughes is really good. Besser, very, very, very underrated player. Bo Horvat, hell of a captain, hell of a leader. Like JT Miller. JT Miller's looked great in Vancouver. Like they have good pieces. It's just
and they want to bitch about OLE.
Yeah, and
or OEL,
it's just, you look at all the top teams, and the top teams have all the good places, and then they have their role players who really fit into what they have to do. And to me, it's almost like the teams with the better role players tend to have better success, or like people who can like really chip into what they should be chipping into. And you look at Vancouver, and I that's never really been there for a while, right? Like they tried Roussel and Beagle, that didn't really work out too well. I don't know.
When they made it to the Cup final, they had those depth guys.
Mm-hmm.
They did. They had the high end and the depth guys. Tim Thomas. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? So those were contracts signed. A contract that wasn't signed. Brady Tkachuk in Ottawa. Lack of communication is a big reason of what's preventing that from happening. Senators owner has a history with his star players. The team is set only on signing Tkachuk to 7 or 8 years versus doing a bridge deal. It's kind of the same situation, I guess, with Pettersson. He just wanted a couple years to figure out what's going to happen.
Well, with Ottawa's track record, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's one of those things, dude. As an owner, you want the player to want you back as much as you want them, and it's not there. And instead of just being like, okay, we can work it out, you're kind of like, well, fuck you then. And that's kind of the lack of communication, like that with the guy who's supposed to be the face of your franchise.
I heard older brother Matthew on a interview. I think it might have been on 32 Thoughts, where he was saying how the team and Brady are very far apart, and him and his dad have gotten involved.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm telling him to hold out. My dad held out. I held out. It's our way. So, I mean, it doesn't look good for the Sens. But imagine if they don't sign him. It's like it's a PR nightmare for them.
Yeah.
What they don't want. He's like you said, face of the franchise, and then you screw it up somehow.
Yeah, it's tough. That's gotta suck wanting to sign a dude long term, and you know that he's there, and he's just like, I'm not sure. Like that kind of blows.
Yeah. Well, at some point, their mentality will change and say, all right, well, we can't sign the 7 or 8 years. We got to sign him for 3 years and build this team up over the 3 years that he then wants to
mindset. Yeah.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with Brady Tkachuk. Last thing NHL news: Amazon Prime came out with their All or Nothing Toronto Maple Leafs thing. It's being compared to like a 24/7. I would agree with that. It's pretty uncut, which is pretty cool. Like you hear a ton of cursing, a lot of swearing. You get to see certain personalities. I guess spoilers if you haven't watched it, because I think we're kind of about to talk about it. But
I'm only 2 episodes in,
so it's fucking cool. It takes place throughout the entire course of the season. Like the John Tavares hit, they showed like a clip of that.
Yeah, but that looked horrifying.
That's brutal, and you can tell it's kind of cool in a way, like seeing how everybody reacted. Because do you remember back when all that happened? Foligno fought Perry, and everybody was up in arms about it, and they kind of like show what went into that.
Perry didn't throw a punch. Do you know that?
No.
If you watch that fight, Perry did not throw a punch. Listen, I used to hate Corey Perry when he was on the Ducks, but over the last 5-6 years, I really, really have grown to respect Corey Perry.
Yeah, man.
He plays the game the right way, on the edge. You'd love him on your team. He's one of those guys.
Yeah, and when I said it was cool, obviously it wasn't cool that Tavares was hurt. I just thought it was interesting to see like how like the players. They even talked about how like they thought maybe they weren't going to continue the game, and like they dive a lot into Dubas and like what Dubas has in like, I don't know. It was fucking. I thought it was pretty lights out show.
I enjoyed it a lot. I think for the first 2 episodes at least, the star is Joe Thornton, in my opinion. This guy's awesome.
Was Jimmy Vesey in any of the ones that you saw?
And he was.
Bro, they make Jimmy Vesey look like the biggest. Just squid ever.
I have squid written down in my notes.
Oh my god! Just like they made him look so bad. Like they made him
hiding upstairs on the phone, and Thornton like hunted him down. He's like, "I found you, fucker." And by the way, Jimmy Vesey, don't wear your hat like a 13-year-old bubblegum pop star. Jesus Christ, put on your fucking baseball hat.
It was insane.
That was horrible. That was a tough
Did you see when Sheldon Keefe went up to him and he was like trying to tell him like what they were expecting from him? And he's like, yeah, well, it just sounds like you don't really want me here. Like, yeah, Beast, that's the attitude you want.
So Sheldon Keefe, I think, is a good coach. I feel like he talks to his players, but doesn't let them answer. If they don't give the answer he's looking for when he initiates that conversation, he cuts it off. Like with VC, he was like, so what do you think? And he's like, oh, I thought I played pretty well. He goes, no, I'm not talking about last game.
Yeah.
And just shut it down. And he does that with everybody. And that's just his style. But I think that these kids on the Leafs are, I mean, some of these guys they've been getting their, junk fondled for the last 18 years by everybody they meet. And I think they're like, whoa, what is this guy? And that's why I think Thornton was great. And Simmons, they're just in there just like cutting everybody up.
Simmons wants to win, dude. Yeah. I thought Simmons was a nail gun. To me, it showed almost like a lack of leadership. Like they had like a leader meeting with like 8 different people. And Sheldon Keefe, Matthews wasn't there, but I think Matthews wasn't there because he had COVID or there was something going along. Like he might have been sick. That's a rumor that I saw.
Maybe. I don't know how the timeline works out.
But I thought it was interesting how Sheldon Keefe's like, we have to fix a lot of this stuff. Like, and Joe Thornton's like, nah, man, we're in first place. Like, it was just like a kind of a disconnect there. Yeah. And I don't know, man. It was real. If you guys get a chance, definitely check it out. Like, I'm not a Leafs fan at all, but it was interesting.
Oh, I hate the Leafs and I enjoy it. Let me ask you this. So Joe Thornton, everybody talks about how much everyone that talks about him, like he's this giant unicorn roaming around rinks across North America. He, the whole, like, he loves the boys, loves hockey. Were you shocked when he talked about his wife and kids? I was like, holy shit, he's got wife and kids?
Yeah,
Enter my equation of him. I thought that was hysterical.
He seemed like the coolest guy ever. Like, he broke his rib. He's like, I know it's broken, but like he was just like goofy. Like he was kind of what I expected. You're right about the wife and kids. I wasn't expecting that one.
He's in some kind of like hyperbaric thing, and they're like, he's like, do I leave in this? And they're like, yeah. And someone was like, Joe, what do you got? He's like, I have no idea. And he just goes walking out like, yeah. He was great.
Did you get to the episode where he goes at Ehlers?
Oh no, I haven't. I'm not there yet.
Oh boy,
I saw the preview. Yeah,
Joe's. He wasn't too thrilled in the Nicola Ehlers, but check it out. All or Nothing is on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I thought it was
great. Now we're gonna get into our Rangers and Bruins talk. I'm just gonna kind of go over some Rangers lines with you guys. I think this is what's gonna end up happening. Lafreniere, Zibanejad, Kreider, Panarin, Strome, Kakko. Gaudreau, Hedl, Kravtsov, Blais, Rooney, Reeves, extras, Gauthier, Hunt, and Barron. And then you got Lindgren, Fox, Miller, Trouba, Nemeth, Lundqvist, and Shesterkin, Georgiev. I wrote a blog about what to expect for the Rangers this year. Hey, in my opinion, I'll break down each line really quick. I think the first line.
Before you do, that blog you wrote with the pictures and the lines, that was fantastic. For everyone who wants to see how to break down a team, go and you read your article.
I appreciate that.
That's my pander comment for you. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yep.
My first line, Lafreniere. I think we get so excited to get a first overall pick, and you just expect them to be like Matthews and Crosby, and it's just instinctual, and sometimes it doesn't happen. He hasn't had that start to his career. I get that. You can see the skills there. I still don't know if the foot speed's there, but he's a good player. Kreider, the same things. He'll be lost for 60 games, and he'll be noticeable for 22, and everybody's going to say he should be captain. This line goes as Zibanejad goes. He had a rough start last year with like COVID kind of stuff. I mean, when Zibanejad's on, dude, he's dominant. He plays 200 feet. He's fat. He's so deceptively fast, and he creates. He makes people around him better. Second line, Panarin, Strome, Kakko. I think this line's going to fuck. Like, there's no way they don't. Panarin and Strome, they're great together. And now Kakko came in. He looks gigantic.
Yeah,
he showed an extra step in preseason. Like, he looks like last year, towards the end of the year, he looked like an NHL player. And now it's time for him to make that step to being like, oh, I'm fucking nasty. And getting a good vibe. Gaudreau, Hedl, Kravtsov. Hedl and Kravtsov, I mean, the offensive players, but the knack on them is when they're not creating offensively, they don't really do much else. I think putting a veteran guy like Gaudreau, he's won a couple cups. He finishes every check, so he'll be sticking up for them. He'll teach them how to play defense. I think that's huge for a young line like that.
Future captain of the Rangers.
Maybe. Maybe.
I'm telling you.
But if that third line can make sure they don't get scored on and put a few pucks in the back of the other goalies, the other net, I think that'll be good. And then Rooney Reeves
is one of the biggest pain in the asses in the NHL to play against.
And it's going to be great. Like for two young guys, like that's, I love that. And then the fourth line, Rooney Reeves, we haven't had an identity on the fourth line in forever, and we finally fucking got one. So I'm really excited about that. I think Gauthier might end up starting on the third line. I think Kravtsov's hurt right now. He has a lower body injury, but you have a guy like Hunt who's relentless on the forecheck, sound defensively. Morgan Barron, New York Rangers, homegrown Brian Boyle, Cornell 6th-round pick. It sucks because they finally figured out their fourth line. They haven't figured out their fourth line in fucking 7 years. And the 1 year that they do it, they have this kid ready to like play on the fourth line. So that sucks for him. Then you got Lindgren, Fox. If these guys are together for 10 years, they're going to go down as one of the best like duos and during their time of being together. They're going to be really good. You have Adam Fox, who his hockey IQ is insane. And there's not a player in the NHL that competes harder than Ryan Lindgren. He bleeds every fucking game. It's insane. I love it. Miller's had a rough preseason, but I'm not worried about him. If Trouba can build off the year Trouba had last year, which wasn't that great, but if he can get a little bit better, he just needs to become that tough guy to play against that he was like in Winnipeg, where you didn't want to go in the corner because Jacob Trouba is going to cross-check you in the face.
Kill penalty.
That's what you need.
Yep.
Fourth line, I love Nemeth. I think Nemeth is the third pairing defenseman the Rangers have tried to sign for the past 20 years that never worked out, but I think this one's going to work out. This is the first one where I'm like, okay, like I'm not expecting anything offensively from him, but it looks like he can defend. And you put him with a rookie, Nils Lundqvist, first-round pick, right-handed shot. I think he leads their team in points right now in the preseason. He can quarterback a power play. He's supposed to be good. Yeah, and his numbers in the Swedish league, I think he had better numbers than Hedman, which is insane. I'm clearly not comparing the two because Hedman's probably 3 times the size of him.
Not yet.
But and then Shesterkin and Georgiev. If Shesterkin can stay healthy, dude, I think that the sky's the limit. If Shesterkin can't stay healthy and you have to play Georgiev, the Rangers are fucked. Yeah. So, having said all of that, I think they'd squeak into the playoffs this year. I really do. Depending on how well Zibanejad plays and if Kakko can take that extra step, I'm not really worried about them defensively unless somebody gets hurt. And if Shesterkin can stay healthy, because now they have fucking 4 lines they can roll. They can literally roll their 4 lines now, which is great.
So for me, all right, so one of the things in the Maple Leaf show that I had written down was Matthews made a comment in the first episode about how it was a real turning point in their first game of the season. And I wrote it down I'm like, that might be the dumbest comment I've ever heard. Like it was a turning point midway through the first game.
Right.
The Rangers, honestly, that first game is a world of difference for them. That first game against the Caps is going to set the tone for the entire season, I think.
That's a good way to look at it, because if the Rangers come out and they shit pump the Caps and Ryan Reeves beats up Tom Wilson, they win 4-1. Yeah. You build off of something like that.
Exactly.
But if they come out and they lose fucking 5-1 and Tom Wilson's bullying everybody, it's like, oh my God.
I think a lot is riding on that game. I think that's a huge tone setter. And just like you said about the goalie, it's the same with Philly. It's the same with the Bruins to a degree. You're only as good as your best goalie. Yeah. Right? And look, I mean, what's going to happen with Toronto? Jack Campbell's great, but if he's,
you're right. You're 100% right. And back to the first game thing, how they always talk about players put money on the board before games?
How much?
Well, it always depends. People put money on the board, and if they win, it goes towards the party or whatever. I was just thinking how cool it would be if fucking Ryan Reeves walks in, puts $50K on the board, and he's like, "Let's fucking roll, boys!" Like that would be unreal.
What was the ticket he signed?
I honestly don't even care. I just think that'd be the coolest thing ever.
I was thinking he'd put $7,500 because he's 75.
I mean, something Ryan Reeves walks in there and like I feel like before that game, Ryan Reeves has to stand up and he's like, it's our time now. Let's go out there and kick ass. And
is that at Madison Square Garden or are they in Washington?
Oh, I hope it's at MSG. I got to look that up. But what do you think about the Rangers? Do you think they have any chance?
I think they're going to make the playoffs. And I know we're going to do our preview coming up in a future one, but I think they're in the playoffs. I think
in Washington.
It's in Washington,
which would be even cooler.
That's even better. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, that's even better because there's nothing better than making an entire arena full of people shut up. right?
And hate you.
And Reeves just skating around, waving.
Dude, Ryan Reeves, that first game is going to be fucking unreal. And they don't have Chara anymore either. So, like, Ryan Reeves can go at anybody.
He would go with Chara anyways.
I know, but, like, when Chara and Wilson are both on the ice, it's kind of like, well, fuck.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I would love to have Chara get injected with truth serum and to see what he really thought about some of the antics that Tom Wilson did last year.
Yeah, I don't know. I think one of my favorite things about Chara is you look back, and it's before Brendan Smith was even on the Rangers. There was that Brendan Smith Chara like squaring up Boston
He was in
Red
Detroit,
Wings.
right?
Yep. And Chara just made him look awful. And then the game where everybody fought right off the go, it was Blackwell, Hagelin, Hathaway fought, I think Rooney, and DiGiuseppe fought. No, DiGiuseppe fought Hathaway, and then Rooney fought somebody else, whatever. But everybody's pairing up, and the two defensemen on the Rangers, it was Smith, and I want to say it was a younger kid who wanted to get into it. Maybe it was Fox. And the other two for the Capitals, it was Chara and Dylan. And Dylan went over to the young kid, and Chara went up to Smitty, and like they said something. And I'm wondering if like Chara was like, "Do you want it?" And I wonder if Smith was like, "I'm going after Wilson," because as soon as like they talked, Chara was like, right? "Okay," and it was fine. Yeah. And then the next shift, Smitty came out. Just little things behind like the scenes that I just wish that I could have heard, because there was clearly a conversation going on, and I'm wondering what that was about, because Chara could have done exactly what he did to Brendan Smith and made him look awful, and he kind of let him do whatever he had to do.
Because he knew it was right. And that's, they say about Chara, he always does the right thing. And that goes back to our conversation last podcast. Like, how much would you pay for the unfiltered, mic'd up player?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
It would be unbelievable. I don't know. I think they make the playoffs. Oh, and then one other thing. He did a really good job during the draft, I thought. Jeff Gordon, he's joined the NHL Network as a studio analyst. Little Rangers Bruins love for Jeff Gordon. Yeah. I thought he did good. I don't know I think maybe they pulled his plug a little bit too soon. But I'll tell you what, if the Rangers have success and they start rolling right now, don't forget who fucking built that team.
Oh, right, exactly. Yeah.
Because you see that all the time.
I think the biggest thing with the Rangers is that they have a new identity. And I know Quinn came from BU, but I think that was a good move. I don't think he was ready for that team.
Yeah, no, not at all. He was a college coach.
Yeah.
And what was weird is he's a college coach, so I understand why you're hiring him, because you have a ton of young kids, but then he never played the young kids. And it was like... Right. And people say he did, but like Lafreniere and Capo, first overall pick, second overall pick, you would think that they would be on one of the power plays.
I was going to say, they got no power play time.
Like, and what does that do for confidence of a skilled young player coming to the NHL? And you look at what the Devils do with Jack Hughes. They put Jack Hughes on everything.
Yeah, look at Possible.
So, does Jack Hughes make the USA team?
Oh.
I think it depends. If he has a fucking sick year to begin the year.
I think it depends how he starts out, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. But what do you got on the Bruins?
All right. So for the Bruins, the big news still is the Krejci hole, right? Everyone's talking about the Krejci hole. Charlie Coyle isn't skating. He's still the knee that he got cleaned up. He's going to be back in time. But Jack Studnicka, we talked about him last time, how he put on 15 or possibly 50 pounds of muscle, somewhere in between, depending on what you read. He has looked fantastic as the number 2 center. And if Studnicka can pop as a number 2 center, Coyle slots in on the third line, right? Which then, in my dream world, pushes Thomas Nosek to the wing, which pushes DeBrusk upstairs to the 9th floor. So I had a lot riding on that. And plus, I like to see a young homegrown kid up through the system, right, to make it up. And plus,
Brownie, fuck off. You get all these nice homegrown kids every fucking year. Bergeron, Marchand, Pasternak. Oh, I just want one more second line center.
Just
Are you
one
kidding
more.
me?
Just one more second line center.
It would be so Boston for that to work out. How young is he?
I think he's 21. Yeah.
Oh, so he's still really young. Okay.
Oh, yeah. 21, 22, I believe. I don't know.
And you put him with Taylor Hall, dude, who has fucking wheels. That's got to make your job
and Craig Smith. Craig Smith does everything anyone ever asks.
Yeah.
I honestly think he would carry everyone's bag if you asked him. The guy just plays.
Yeah.
And Studnicka, it's just a great story. I would love for him to fill that. Everyone's like, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And Studs is like, I got it. And it would be great. It would be absolutely. He scored a nice goal the other night against the Rangers, I think. Was it against the Rangers?
Classic Bruins. I just want one more number 2 center.
That's it. Speaking of the other night against the Rangers, I don't know if you got to see it. I know I was sending you highlights throughout the game, but Linus Ullmark, oof, bad look in overtime. He tried to. He was looking for apples, trying to send pasta away, and just handed it. That was the game.
Yeah, you said you're convinced on Ullmark. I need about 15 games through the season to see what I think the Bruins are going to be like. Because if they're what I think Ullmark is, I don't know if the Bruins are going to have a shot.
There was a report today, actually, that Swayman is starting to cement himself as the number one, and Ullmark needs some time to get his, quote, game shape.
Okay.
Maybe he's out of shape.
But still, I might need a little bit of time. It really, I mean, you're seeing it. I saw with Lundqvist, like, dropping off. Like, you see these goalies that have been there forever and you take them for granted. Like, it's a lot of pressure to put on a young Jeremy Swayman. It's a lot of pressure to put on a Linus Ullmark, who's never been on a good team in his life. I don't know, man. That's a huge question mark for me.
Yeah.
Huge. But who knows? You're the Bruins. You guys are always good, man. Like, I was too young to remember when they sucked.
Yeah, I remember. But yeah, it was a tough go. But I think he's going to be all right. And if Swayman comes out in the first games, it's a 7-3 split for Swayman or 6-4. That's okay too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, remember we still got Tuukka in case of emergency break finish glass.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. The other thing I have, this one is not as good. Krejci sold his Charlestown home. That's not good news for the plan that we talked about last week. Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm sure somebody will let him live with him. Like, if he comes over, right?
Oh, for sure. He can live with me. He can have my whatever you want. It was funny though, is that he sold it for $4.046 million. I love how he gets the 4.6 in there. It's a nice little touch. And then the down news. All right. So if anyone listening has read my blog throughout last year, every time Jake DeBrusk steps on his dick, which was constantly, I like to bring up the 2015 draft. So the 2015 draft, which will live on in infamy, they've actually gotten out and said that they kind of left Don Sweeney unprepared because he just got hired on as the GM, which was a tough look to admit that. But for those that don't remember, the Bruins had 3 picks in a row. They thought they were going to package, trade up for Noah Hanifin. That was the plan. Did not work. And in panic, they took Zboril, DeBrusk, and Zach Stenchen at 13, 14, 15. Zboril is actually probably like the 6th or 7th, maybe the 8th defenseman right now for the team. He should get some go this year. He's looked good in the preseason. DeBrusk, I don't even want to talk about him anymore. Well, Stenchen got waived 2 days ago and then cleared waivers.
Oh, man.
And is at the Providence Bruins, the wannabes. But I have here, I've done some research. I have here a list of the people that were drafted after these 3. We all know about Matt Barzal because that's the comparison. He was drafted immediately afterwards. In order, Kyle Connor, Thomas Chabot, Eriksson Ek, Colin White, Ilya Samsonov, Brock Bozer, and Travis Konecny were all sitting there when the Bruins made those 3 picks. That's tough. That's a tough go.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of share similar things with the 03 draft with Hugh Jessman leaving like Getzlav, Dustin Brown on the board, but like three picks
in a row.
And like DeBrusk, I know you don't like him, but when he first came to the Bees, everybody kind of thought he was going to be a player. I remember like talking Kreider's going to the Bees. We better get DeBrusk, and no, we can't trade DeBrusk. Like everybody thought DeBrusk was going to be pretty good.
Listen, I hope DeBrusk pops off and then we trade him. I mean, nothing would make me happier than to see the Bruins trade him. Hey, listen, if everyone says he's a great kid, and they all love him, all his teammates. So I mean, it's not like a Dougie Hamilton type of thing where they were like, "Here, let me help you pack your bag," you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're not playing, you're not contributing, then what are we doing? We're trying to justify the pick, which is idiocy. 4 centers in that draft were picked after them. I know we're talking about second line centers too. And then the last thing I have.
Did you mention the center on the Wild? Was he one of the players?
Minnesota. Eriksson Ek.
He would be a fucking unreal Bruin.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Could have had him 3 times. 3 times could have had him. Couple other things that I had written down. Do you think we could see McAvoy and Fox partnered in the Olympics?
I mean, I would definitely have to look to see the other defensemen are. Yeah, I think Werenski, Jones.
Werenski and Jones are going to skate together, I would think.
Yep. And then I'm trying to think who else you would really have there. Lindgren's not going to make the USA team. I would love to see that because they played together in World Junior, but that will never happen.
There was some rumor. There was some noise last year about Grzelcyk making it. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it would be an interesting defensive pair to watch.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I just had that written down.
I love the way McAvoy plays, dude.
He's a beast.
Yeah, he really is. He's a great player. I think Adam Fox has a little bit more offensive style to his game, but the way Charlie McAvoy plays, man, it's like who did he laid somebody out on the Hurricanes in the playoffs? I was either this year or last year. Oh, wasn't it Stahl? Didn't he fuck up Stahl?
Yeah.
And it was
Stahl's
like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, McAvoy can hit. Yeah, he can lay the wood pretty well. You can watch him playing, and he has this baby face, but then his eyebrows knit, and he gets mad, and you just see him. You could see him like he's like a cruise missile out there hunting. Yeah,
he's a hell of a player. That'd be cool to see because then I'm sure Adam Fox probably have to carry him a little bit, but I think it'd be pretty fun.
It'd be a nice preview of the Rangers, right?
Yeah.
The other two things I had written down were this is the biggest no-brainer in the history of the world, and I'll probably get a box for myself, and I'll send one to Hal. The David Pastrnak penny pasta. Have you seen this?
Oh yeah, I did see this. So what is that? Is that like a gimmick? I saw it was in Toronto.
It's bags of pasta, or I think it's boxes of pasta, and all the proceeds are going to pediatric cancer research at Dana-Farber and the Jimmy Fund. And of course, how much they sell it for? 88 cents a box.
No shit.
Yeah. So I'm going to go. It's only available at Stop and Shop. So I'm going to go grab a couple of boxes and send them out to some Bruins fans that I know that are not here locally. So pretty cool.
That. That's cool. That's badass.
The last thing I had for you is, and this is, I feel like this is one of my blogs where I'm just game notes throwing shit at the end of the blog.
No,
it was. Did I not write it down? Yeah, it did. It was 20 years ago Monday.
Okay.
20 years ago Monday, Ray Bourque's number 77 went to the rafters. That was 20 years ago.
That's insane when you think of it that way.
Yeah.
Fuck,
because you think it's like, it was 2001. It's not so long ago. No, 2001 was 20 years ago.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about that stuff, man. Like time really does fly when you kind of look at it from that perspective. But
so, that's your Bruins.
There's your Bruins. We're going to kind of jump into our beer league roundup now. So Nashville is doing this thing. The Predators are doing this thing. They're having midnight mayhem. So Friday night from 12 o'clock midnight to like 7:30 in the morning, I'm playing in 3 1-hour games. I get a jersey. They provide us with food. There's individual awards, team awards, all this shit. And then you also get 2 preseason games to the Preds Hurricanes the next day at 3:30. So awesome. I'm doing that. I mean, no brainer for me. Yeah. It was weird I couldn't get anybody on my beer league team to do it with me. I think it's just because I'm a sick fuck and I love hockey. But the way I'm looking at it is the people that are going to go to this thing love hockey. So I'm definitely going to be able to meet some like absolute diehard fans. So that'll be cool. But other than that, I paid my league dues. I'm ready to go. We got our jerseys in, so it should be good. Brownie, what do you got for beer league? Would you do that? Like if the Bruins had like
100%. We had when I lived in South Carolina, there was no ice. We played roller, and there was this Ironman tournament that happened on like I think Sundays. It started at like 7 a.m. and it was teams of 4 and a goalie. It was continuous play. You played 3-on-3 with one sub, and any penalty was a penalty shot, and any goal you take it out, dump it, and go the other way.
Okay.
And you would play from like 7. If you made it all the way, I think think the last game was around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was murder. It was absolute murder. And a good friend of mine, shout out Glenn Landon if you're listening. He and I met because you didn't want to take off all your gear, so you just kind of. And the wheels, it was you played on parquet, so they were softer wheels. So if you rolled on like asphalt, it would rip them open. Right. So you only could skate out on the pad that they had out in front. So we would skate out, and like people are like eating baby food and drinking healthy stuff, and me and Glenn are out there like drinking Dr. Pepper and smoking butts. Like, yeah, ready for the next game. And that's how we met, and we're still friends to this day. Yeah, he's South Carolina Stingray season ticket holder. So
Dude,
it was like a concrete pond, a defunct place. But yeah, that kind of stuff's great. You'll make memories that you'll remember. You'll make friends that you'll keep, especially for you who's just moved there. So
right.
it's fantastic.
I think it's gonna be sick, man. And like the Predators, they built these 2 rinks, and the rinks, I can't stress how unreal these beer league rinks are. Like you walk in, the doors automatically open for you. That's the first thing. And it's based off of Ford ice. So if you drive a Ford, you get the front parking spots. They're reserved strictly for Ford vehicles. And there's like an outdoor like shoot around thing. There's a giant bar, 2 rinks, a giant like NHL shop with all like sticks and shit too. I'm so fucking excited. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, so for me, for Beer League, we had our Summer League playoffs the other night, which we had once again 1 sub. The other team, I skated up to. I think they had
1 sub.
We had 1 sub. The other team had 4 lines, and during warmups, I skate up to one of the kids like was stretching, and I look at him, I go, "What do you guys got tryouts tonight?" He's like, "No playoffs, bro." I was like, "Jesus!" I'm like, "All right." So we got down, tied it up, forced overtime. Overtime comes, no decision, so we go to a shootout. Right, 3 rounds. We go out there. We score once. They didn't score anything. We move on, right? Congratulating the goalie, everybody. And it was a fill-in goalie, too. It was great. We're all high-fiving. Everybody's pumped. Ref blows the whistle. Oh, no. In the playoffs, it's 5. 5 rounds of shootout. We're like,
no way.
So we go. It's right there on the score sheet, So we go. We send our next 2 guys. They don't score. Their 2 guys both score. We lose 2-1. Season over.
No way, dude.
Yeah.
Well, first off, a beer league team that's 4 lines should be dusting a team with 6 people.
It was crazy.
I'd be so fucking mad.
I mean, it's whatever. It is what it is. We have a game tomorrow night, so another, for the fall league. But.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I would have lost my shit 100% there, especially we're already happy. Like celebrating and shit. I'd be like, no, we're getting the ice then.
The ref's like, hey guys, I felt bad. It is what it is, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I love talking beer league. As the year goes on, I'm sure we'll have more stories and more shit to talk about. So.
Oh yeah. Once we get in, yeah.
But now we got our Dominic Moore's Heroes and Zeros. Let me play my Dominic Moore video.
Hey fans, this is Dominic Moore. I'm just going to take you guys through a little bit of the behind the scenes stuff here.
All right, guys, here we go. Hero and Zero time. Brownie, how about you go first? Tell us your hero. Tell us your zero.
My hero and zero, like you did with the what was it? ESPN Plus. It was your both hero and zero last week. My hero and zero this week is TNT. Both for TNT. I'm going to do the zero first, get it out of the way. So, yeah, it's their first broadcast, and there were some technical difficulties. I get that. But if they have that camera that was on the glass, and apparently they had issues with the higher-up camera, but that camera that's on the glass, I was like, oh, maybe I'm not over my concussions yet. Because, holy shit. It was literally like watching a low-tier D2 game where the manager is standing there with a handheld. Oh, that was a tough angle.
That's a tough look for TNT too, right? Like,
yeah, it was. They had a lot of issues here. I don't know if it was nationwide, but in the Boston market, the screen kept splitting. So it was showing like the top half of the bowl was on the bottom of the screen. So I literally had my hand up because it was giving me like a head rush. Does that make sense what I'm trying to explain?
Yeah, what you would think, get it together. It's not amateur hour, dude. You're supposed to.
I don't know what was going on. The studio, they had trouble with talks with Rick Tockett's mic, and then they weirdly kept one seat. Like me and Preston, our St. Louis and Vegas writer, were texting about this. They, instead of having it straight ahead, it was like to the side, and there was an empty seat to Liam McHugh's right, but it was still centered on that empty seat. Like, how did no one not see that? Just shit a little,
Amateur hour, man.
Yeah, it was a tough look for the first one. So that was my zero. But my hero is also TNT because I think Keith Jones between the benches is going to be awesome, and he will not let himself get talked over like Edzo used to do to Pierre.
Mm-hmm.
Jones, you could tell that Ed Olczyk and Pierre McGuire, I don't think they like each other, and I feel like Keith Jones has a much bigger resume that he's going to let Jones talk.
Yeah.
The in-studio stuff, is awesome. Anson Carter seems so relaxed.
Yeah.
It's so funny, more personality than he's ever showed. And Rick Tocchet, I mean, talk about announcing your presence with authority. He's out there on his first broadcast showing people how he used to kick guys in the junk with his skate. And then Paul Bissonnette texts in and they put it on the screen. It was a tweet. It was hilarious. I thought it was great. So I thought that was all great. And I really like the fact, and you're too young to remember this, I really like the fact that they have Don Kaharski as the rules analyst, like the NFL has Mike Pereira. Because Don Kaharski, I think I sent the link into the group chat. But if anyone listening to this goes and looks up Don Kaharski, Jim Schoenfeld, it was the Eastern Conference Finals, I believe, Devils Bruins.
Oh, Schoenfeld was going to kill him.
Schoenfeld had to be held back, told him to eat another donut, you fat prick, or something to that effect. It's all on audio. And then for the next game, the refs boycotted. And what I want to say it was like it was in the 80s. The ref boycotted. And I think they had to push the game back a day, if I remember correctly. It's crazy. So, yeah, look up that story. So he has got some stories, and I think as he gets more comfortable, you can see him starting to talk it a little bit towards the end of that. I think that he'll be a real asset to the broadcast. And then they're going to add Gretzky and Bissonnette. I mean, come on.
I think they're finally doing it right. Like they're using other sports too, right? Like bringing in the ref like the NFL guys do, and like it seems like Tocchett's really trying to be the Charles Barkley. So it's like it's cool.
Yeah, those are mine. So go ahead.
All right, my hero of the week. I went to a Preds Lightning preseason game. The Predators rink's unreal. Like it's super new. It's smaller, but there's not a bad seat there. It goes to this lady who was sitting in front of us by herself. Had to have been the biggest Predators fan I've ever seen in my life. They'd score, she'd go nuts. There was a penalty, you bastard, like screaming. She was like an older lady by herself, and like you just love
all the guys' signatures on her jersey.
It was on like super fan beyond super fan. Like awesome. Like somebody would score, she'd look over to her left and like walk 4 chairs down and give them a high five. Like she was enjoying herself. So that goes to her. The zero of the week goes to myself. I was at that Preds game, and there's some chants that they do after they score goals that I need to learn because everybody's saying it, and I'm just like, I have no idea what these people are saying.
Are you just moving your mouth?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, for sure. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that guy clapping off beat.
Yeah. So I got to learn that. The Titans game, you just scream tighten up every 2 seconds, and people think it's sick. Predators, I was just like TNT amateur hour is amateur hour for myself at that game. I promise I'll be better. But that was our heroes and zeros for the week. And then lastly, we have 3 stars.
All right, Jim and Mike, thanks very kindly. A nice weekend for you. As always, our 3-star selectors are stars of the hockey scene wherever we go in Rogers Hometown Hockey.
All right, 3 stars of the week. So before this started, Brownie was hitting me up, and he's like, that 3 stars thing, I think it's pretty cool. Like, how do you come up with that? And I'm like, you have no idea how much Hal and I have struggled throughout the course, probably the last – we're on episode 219, probably the last 200 episodes trying to figure out what we should be doing 3 stars. And Brownie out of nowhere goes, all right, well, what 3 Olympic sports do you think you can medal in? And I'm like, that's a great question. And we get 6 months of training, no wife, no kids. Everything's paid for, I'm assuming. Like we have coaches and food, and like we can really just
no money worries, nothing.
Okay. All right. I think this is going to be good. Give me your 3rd star.
My 3rd star. All right. Let me give a preamble. So I actually gave this some thought. So there are some that are pretty obvious that people that know me, I could do. Like snowboarding. I like to snowboard. I think I could do that. Mm-hmm. I wrestled in high school and college. Maybe. I mean, that's a big commitment, but maybe. Surfing. I've never surfed, but I think I would be awesome. I think I'm going to be a natural whenever I try. And then in 2024, I don't know if this is true, but it was on the internet, so it must be. They're introducing as an Olympic sport breakdancing. So 6 months, I could pop and lock. I could get it all back. So that was my preamble. But for now, my 3rd star, sailing. Sailing is an Olympic sport.
Have you ever sailed before?
Yeah. I was like, I had a sunfish when I was a kid on Winnipesaukee. Yeah.
Okay.
So cottage up there on the lake.
You're kind of familiar with it.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I wrote it down. It's called Mixed NACRA 17. And I don't know if I'm saying that right. And I'm sure people that actually sail are going to be pissed. But it's a 2-person foiling catamaran. I don't know what foiling is, but I know what a catamaran is. So if there's two people on a catamaran, one's going to be the skipper and one's going to be little buddy, from those of you that have watched Gilligan's Island. So how hard could it be with 6 months of training for some, I don't know, who's your most famous sailor you know? That guy.
Columbus.
Who?
Columbus.
Well, no, someone like alive.
That's the only person I don't know a sailor.
Yeah. Well, I was going to get that. But so how hard would it be to be sitting on a catamaran? You got the zinc oxide on your nose and some cool boat clothes, and pulling ropes and cranking winches. I'm just getting told what to do. And with 6 months training, yeah, I feel like I could do that.
Is that a singles sport?
No, it's two guys on the boat.
Okay, so you have somebody else there with you too.
Yeah, it's a two-person catamaran.
All right, that makes me feel a little bit better about things. I can't swim, so I would be very out on sailing.
Wait a minute. We got to pause this segment. You can't swim?
I can swim a little bit. I get my fucking shit rocked all the time talking about this. Like, there was a pretty long part of my life where I couldn't go underwater without plugging my nose. I've actually been like training over the last year so I can do it now, which is pretty cool. But if you were to put me in the middle of an ocean and you just, here you go, Jim, here you go, kid, throw me out there, I would last maybe 5 minutes.
Well, in the middle of the ocean, that's pretty much everybody. What if I push you in the deep end of a pool? Are you going to scream and yell?
I won't scream and yell, but I will like low key slowly make my way over to the edge of the pool.
God, dude, my 5-year-old can swim.
No,
hey, let me ask you this. Can you drive a stick shift?
I can drive a stick shift tractor.
Oh my God. We might have to do a new segment. Just call it Life Skills with Brownie.
Yeah, but you want to know what, dude? In my defense about the stick shift thing, my dad, he got a motorcycle accident before I was born, so he lost his right arm and his left leg, and he was a truck driver. So he was like, he knew how to drive, but he like couldn't teach me because he had his left, like you can't shift.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I like using that kind of as a, well, but still, dude, it's a little bit of a complicated process. I'm sure if you gave me like a little bit, you give me 6 months, I bet you I could drive stick.
All right, what's your third star?
All right, so my third star, shit. What way do I go with this? I'm gonna go bobsledding. I think, and like skill wise, is there a ton of skill? Like, I think you have to be explosive off the dot, like much like hockey. Your first 3 strides, get up and go, and then you jump in, and Jesus takes the wheel. I don't know, man. Yeah, and like one of my buddies, he was telling me he had a friend that he played lacrosse with in college, and he's like an Olympic bobsledder, and he said that kid was the most non-athlete he's ever met in his life. So,
which bobsled are you looking at?
I didn't know there was more than one.
All right. I don't want to cut off your thing, but I'm going to lead this into my second star because my second star is also bobsled.
Okay.
And I picked the 4-man bobsled.
Okay, what guy are you?
Because in the 4-man bobsled, there's 2 pushers.
Mm-hmm.
There is the pilot and the brakeman. So the pushers, they do what you think. They push. And those are the guys. That's like what Herschel Walker did back in the day. The huge legs, and pushes, and that's the explosiveness from the dot, all that stuff. The pilot is the guy who steers, and it's from what I saw, it's very slight movements. Like you ever played like a video game after drinking or too high and you overcommit?
Yeah, you're trying to shoot somebody and the gun's just like going all over the place. Yeah,
it's very light touches. So
Brownie, so far I'm out on bobs.
Yeah, I'm out on those 3, and so are you. So this is the spot you want to be. Your third star, my second star, is the brakeman, because in the description I read, the brakeman's sole job is to brake once they cross the finish line. That's it.
I could do that. That's like if you're on a plane, they put you by the emergency exit, and they're like, "Yeah, just open this door if we crash." I could do that.
You're basically the 4th guy in the bobsled is just sledding.
Yeah, but you want to know what? Like, are you in the back?
Yeah.
So are you the last one to jump in?
I would assume so. So you just got to be able to keep up to the guys.
Oh man, yeah, but that's a whole nother debacle. Because what happens if you can't catch up?
You have 6 months to train. You can put your hand in the back of the guy's spandex and hang on to him.
They're not wrong, but it would be really embarrassing to be on the Olympics and your bobsled's going down. You're just running after it.
You're running down the thing.
That'd be brutal.
I was like, break, man. That's my gag right there.
No, I'm into that. My second star is archery. I'm from the woods. I've never watched Hunger Games. That's a lie. But 6 months, dude, and I'm shooting 5,000 arrows a day.
Yeah.
30 times 6, 180, 180 times 5,000. You're telling me I can't get halfway decent at that?
Yeah. Yeah, and again, we talked about this offline, but you need to go with your nationality. How many Italian archers are there?
I couldn't answer that.
I feel like there's more Irish archers.
Could be. I could be an Irish archer. I don't know.
I feel like you got that poet warrior thing for Ireland, and I feel like archers kind of go with that, and all the
and plus, like the training wouldn't be that bad. I don't think there's really a diet. Like you have to your arms probably ought to be pretty strong in your back, but other than that, like
put your beer down, pull the thing.
Yeah, I feel like if I had to train for something, that'd probably be the one I wanted to train for.
Fair enough.
All right, what's your number one star?
So my number one star, the obvious choice would be curling, because that looks pretty fun, and some of those women are, 6 months, no wife, no kids is part of the deal. So, some of those girls are absolutely gorgeous. But some of the guys too. We're not saying.
I feel like we share similar body types to curlers.
Yes, fair.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
So, but that's not my choice.
Okay.
Because in my research, as great as curling is, because if you're the brush guy, you could just set your beer down and brush. There was a game that I played. My dad had a court in the backyard that we had stadium lighting that one of my buddies, an electrician, hooked up. This is an Olympic sport, apparently. Bocce. I was a pretty good bocce player, my dad's thing, and I played a little bit when I lived in other areas that had bocce courts. I think with 6 months, I'd just be ripping beers and playing bocce every day.
I mean, that sounds like
make the Olympics.
That sounds like the dream.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean,
bocce
that's another good one to train for. You just go to there's a few bars back in Saratoga. I'm sure there's probably some here too, but you can just go get fucked up and play bocce all day.
Exactly.
That sounds unbelievable.
Exactly. So that's my number one star, bocce ball.
Okay. My number one star, I want to be able to do it. I wish I could say ping pong because I love ping pong, but those guys are so fucking good at ping pong. It's stupid. I don't know if badminton's an Olympic sport. Maybe I could probably hit. And that's
equally as terrifying as watching ping pong.
Yeah, I definitely have a better opportunity in badminton. I'm gonna go with European handball. Hockey player, baseball player. Growing up, I got a pretty good arm. It's literally hockey, baseball, maybe a little bit of basketball. My only issue with handball is I'm pretty sure everybody who plays handball is like 6'7", so they'd have a full 13 inches on me. Or 11 inches on me. So I don't know how I'd be able to get past the wall of people, but I could see myself distribute, definitely be a morale kind of guy. And I mean, in terms of gym class sports, floor hockey was awesome, but handball was always up there.
What makes European handball different than regular handball?
Maybe it's the same thing. Maybe just in gym class, they call it European handball.
Oh, okay.
That's the one where you have a ball, you get 3 strides, or you have to pass it or bounce it. I think that's essentially the rules. And then you throw it in the net to score.
Yeah. No,
so handball, it's like dodgeball, baseball, hockey.
On the list too. Yeah.
So I think that'd be my number one star. Plus, that'd be a lot of fun. The training that would go into that would be pretty brutal because I'd have to just run all the time. But
wrecking your knees on the gym floors.
Yeah, count me out on that, man. Let me know when one wheel gets into the Olympics.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that was this episode of the Morning Skate. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Brownie, do you have anything else for the listeners at home?
No. What are we? It's when we're recording this, it's October 5th, so we're 1 week.
Yeah, no. And next podcast will be the breakdown of all divisions where we think people are going to end up finishing.
Yeah, we're a little more than a week away from opening night in the NHL. Looking forward to the season. Yep.
And I'm glad we spaced this out too, because this would have been a long podcast if we added divisional stuff on top of all this.
Oh, jeez. Everyone would have turned off already.
Yeah. So be sure to tune in Sunday, guys. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Morning Skate. Ken and Brownie signing off. Thank you.
See ya.